From our virtual studios in the Netherlands
and Camarillo, California.
It's time once again for the Marketing Geeks podcast, and we have quite a show lined up today. In fact, I would have to say I am probably geeking out over the next guest more than any other guest I've ever geeked out on, if that is humanly possible.
That's right, because today we are getting into future tech. We're talking about what's coming down the pipeline. We are going to get into the worlds of virtual reality and augmented reality. And we're, Andros, you're a self-proclaimed futurist, so this is your realm. Take it away.
Oh, God. Well, I got to tell you, the next guest that we are going to have on, I am in kindergarten compared to the brilliance and the crown that this next guest has. I am not worthy, but I will tell you this. At the end of it, I will have risen just a little bit, as will all of our listeners, because you will all be smarter and geekier at the end of this podcast.
That's right.
And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the Marketing Geeks. How are you?
Marketing Geeks.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go pay some bills real quick, and then as soon as we come back, we have a show for you, so stand by. And we're back. Thank you for enduring that. Our next guest is quite something. In fact, she has written the book, literally written the book on augmented reality and VR marketing called Making New Realities, an introduction to VR and AR marketing, branding, and communications. Not only that, she is also a futurist, a keynote speaker for AR, VR, XR, spatial computing, and she was one of the top voices on LinkedIn in 2018. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Cathy Hackl. How are you, Cathy?
Hello, Marketing Geeks.
Hello.
It's such an honor to have you among some of the other things. In fact, your area of expertise led you to doing a little bit of work with Magic Leap. You've been on CNN or ABC News and CNN as an expert. I also want to know about XR spatial computing. So welcome to the show, and thank you for being on. You told us that you've...
Yeah, I'm super pumped to be here.
Yeah, and you've never heard the show, and you still, that's great, because...
You took that leap.
I took
the leap. There you go. I believe in you guys. It's not actually me. It's my hologram doing the interview, so there you go.
Oh, that's right. It's your digital self. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, an AI representation of the real Cathy. So why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you ended up doing what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, so I come to the VR AR world from a storytelling background. I used to do journalism and marketing, and I've been in the industry for about 4 years. And do you want me to tell you my origin story?
Yeah, please. Origin stories are awesome.
Oh, I would love it. I'd love your origin story.
Perfect.
You were bitten by a spider, and then the comet came down from space.
Exactly. No, so back in 2004, I was working for CNN, and part of that job was to look at all the raw footage that was coming in from the war in Iraq. So as you guys can imagine, I had to see horrible stuff, right? Just like the Facebook moderators have to see horrible stuff. That was part of my job. I had to see horrible things.
Or the Amazon moderators now have to listen to private conversations I was reading yesterday.
I heard that too. I was like, man.
Yeah.
I would actually dig that. That would just be strange, but.
I don't know. That would be strange. I don't know. But when you have that type of job, right, you turn the humanity switch off just a little bit.
Yeah.
And for me, it wasn't until I had my first VR experience that I didn't feel like I was able to fully turn it back on. I, went to a conference, got invited to put on a headset. I put an HTC Vive on and went into an experience called Confinement by The Guardian. It puts you in a 6x9 meter solitary confinement cell in VR. where prisoners spend, I think it's like 90% of their time, something crazy.
Wow.
And, within a couple minutes, I was like claustrophobic, took the headset off. And I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is it. Like,
not be in a cell. Not be in a cell.
You want to be in a solitary confinement cell?
That's a weird life choice.
Weird life choice. I want to go to solitary confinement. It was like, I want to, this is the future of storytelling. This is what I want to do. And that was about 4 years ago. Did a really hard pivot. And fast forward, here I am today.
Well,
so
my first experience with VR was back in like 95 or 96 when they used to have those 5 minutes for $5 VR arcade games.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I remember doing that and like being like, it's okay. It was like,
I know, it was so clunky back then.
It was like playing it was like Doom. It was like the graphics were like the level of like Doom or something back then. And it was cool in that you could like turn and like face different directions, but the tech was just not there yet.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
So tell me, you wrote a book called a marketing book, and give us the title of it. Tell us a little bit about it. I want to know more about like the genesis of it and how you came up with the concept and what this story is about, because this is really fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's called Marketing New Realities, and it's on Amazon. And the whole idea behind the book was there were really at that time not a lot of resources for marketing folks that really wanted to learn about AR and VR and how do you start working in these technologies? How do you start, selling it, to your clients or within the company you work at? And my co-author and I said, well, let's do it. Let's write this. We wrote the first VR AR marketing book in the span of, I think it was like 5 months, which is, quite an accomplishment there. And it's an educational resource. We want people to read it, to walk away with questions answered, and also use it as education material for their clients or people within their company and say, hey, if you have any questions, this book might help you. So for us, it's a door. We see it as a door opener and educational resource.
Great.
So yeah. I mean, it's been quite a journey. I'm working on my second one right now.
Oh, what's that one?
That one's called the Augmented Workforce: How AR, AI, and 5G will impact every dollar you make.
Wow. So that's a great title. I have a ton of questions just around that. Yeah. But
just the augmented workforce, I just think of like, you could have workers that look at something and then have like training material pop up.
Superpowers.
Yeah.
And it's about the human workers that are going to be augmented, but also, the automation and the robot workers. So it's kind of both. It's a combination of both. It's, augmenting our workforce means a lot of different things.
So first of all, I'd like to just ask the main question about your book and how is augmented marketing going to be done in your mind? What is because just for you listeners out here, how fast this technology is going. If you haven't seen, for instance, Magic Leap and the personal assistant they're developing named Micah, I recommend just checking it out and seeing for yourself like where this is going. But once we move past cell phones and computers, this is the technology. My son, who's 4, is going to be kind of in this technology the way that we're all into iPads and iPhones. So how does advertising look with AR and VR?
Well, so we're going to start with spatial computing, which is really that next computing platform, right?
Yeah.
So exactly what you're saying, that's what's happening. We're moving away. We had first these giant computers, then we had these, laptops, then we had cell phones, right? Mm-hmm. And, now we're obsessed with our cell phones. What comes next, right? What comes next? And that really is spatial computing, which combines augmented reality with AI, with 5G, with a whole bunch of different, emerging techs. So computer vision, et cetera. So it's kind of that next way that we're going to engage with our technology. So that obviously implies a paradigm shift in how we communicate messages about brands and about companies. It's what I call like a seismic shift. It's the idea, the basic idea, then this is really important. The basic idea that content is expanding, right? Content is expanding beyond the 2D, I call them the rectangles in our hands and on our walls or on our desks, to content that is 3D, 360, augmented, holographic, you name it. It's kind of breaking the restraints of that 2D flat screen that you're in front of. So it's that next iteration. So obviously that has a huge impact for advertising, marketing, any type of content creation.
Now, like in terms of wearable tech, because like wearable tech's a big thing. Like I think there's a future there. I think it's not. I think it's not going to be like anything that looks. It needs to look natural. So I'm assuming that eventually wearable tech will be a big thing, but there's going to be some sort of either stylish sunglasses or contact lenses, or we're going to do inject a chip in our brains and then have it function that way. What do you see as like the wearable tech future?
All of those. Check. It's gonna, we're gonna move away from our phones, our handsets, let's say, to our headsets, and that's coming down. That's not happening just yet, but that's eventually what's going to happen. And then, yes, there will be contacts, and then eventually it'll be that brain machine interface where we're just controlling with our brains. But that's like way further down the line, right?
I think I'm going to volunteer and be the first person to let them inject a chip in my brain. I think I'm going to do it.
Dude, let me do it. I'll do it for you. Give me like 4 beers and I will totally do that for you.
Well, it's funny because some of my friends at Moxie have this like brain machine interface, like part 8 thing. And whenever you have to try, like you have to sign all these waivers. Because it's like, they're like, we don't know. Something could happen to your brain. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
I know. We've all seen that episode of Black Mirror, so we know where that goes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But so first of all, how far away is this technology? Like, what do you see the timeline is roughly?
Okay. Well, what I can tell you is currently the phone you have in your hand, probably, if you have
Are you sure I have a phone in my hand?
I'm sure you do. Well, I've got.
You're like psychic.
I can see you.
What's in my other hand?
I don't know, and I don't want to know.
It's my microphone. You people got a dirty mind.
But basically, right now your phone can do AR. Okay, it can do lots of augmented reality. Granted, it's not the most enjoyable experience because you got to hold up your phone. But for wayfinding right now, that slowly using augmented reality with Google Maps to find your way, like that little blue line in front of you, instead of having to look at the map and try to figure out where you are.
Pokemon Go.
That's going to be huge. Yeah, Pokemon Go is fun. Well, you know what? They're coming to market with a Harry Potter game pretty soon. So that'll be fun. I think that'll be fun. It's going to get a lot of people playing again.
So, okay. So what would you say that the like just putting out the timeline, what does it look like?
See, I don't necessarily like saying a specific year.
Well, you don't have to, but like 10 to 15 years, like is that when phones are going to go away? Are they still going to be relevant?
How about a time and a date, a time and a year? Let's go there.
There you go. I would say by 2022, we'll have some type of Ray-Ban moment where you have smaller glasses that, that do all these things that, start probably with your phone and then move up to full on, augmented reality intelligent glasses that are not tethered or anything, probably 2022. Full adoption of that, probably not till 2030.
Yeah. Now, what about, I've been reading about these computers now that can or not even computers, but like EEG things where they're like starting to read and translate brainwaves into thoughts. Is that something I should be worried about?
No, you should be excited about it. I don't think you should be worried about it. I think you should be excited. I mean, how many times you're in bed, you're like, man, I wish I had that item in my hand. I got to get up and go get it.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe you're going to just be able to use your brain, you call the little drone that lives in your house with your brain and ask it to go get a beer and bring it.
Really? When I'm lying in bed, the thing that I'm worried about is invisible spiders. But I don't know if I could be helped with any of that. Ask a drone and it will, who knows what will happen. But
you sound like my 3-year-old who sees spiders. Like she'll be a spider. Like,
that's funny. I probably act like a 3-year-old a lot too. So I want that toy because I do. Like you talk about Magic Leap, and that's what I have. I'm like, can I have that? Can I have that? Can I have that? So you've done a little bit of work with Magic Leap. I don't know how much you could talk about it because it's still kind of new. What can you tell us?
I can't really tell you much other than I'm working with their enterprise team. We're working really hard across verticals, everything from healthcare to automotive to manufacturing and how it's all going to impact, the future of work. So not much there, but I do think even before I joined the company, I was completely just entranced by their technology and by everything that they want to do in the world. So, if you look at Roni, the CEO, and what he's been saying about the Magic Verse, that let's say that digital layer that surrounds everything, that, the data that covers everything that we have around us, and what that means for the future, like that is really exciting. He calls it the Magic Verse. So
I like that. I like that a lot.
That is very promising. It's very exciting. And, could be, I always joke and I always say that I currently work with the future Mark Zuckerbergs, Sheryl Sandbergs, Elon Musks of the world.
Yeah.
Because they're all part of my industry, right? It's really
one of them is probably the next one. Yes.
Well, I mean, and let me just take one step back for our listeners who don't know what augmented reality is. Augmented reality is basically a form of communication, a form of computing where you put something over your eyes that basically puts a layer of information over your reality. So unlike virtual reality, where you can't see outside of your, you've got a thing on your head and you can't see, you get lost in the world. Augmented reality will basically put something in your living room that you can see and interact with.
Why don't we let the expert define it? Let's hear the expert definition.
That's probably a good idea. That's probably a good idea.
This is the easiest way I find to define it. VR puts you in a different world, so you have to put on a headset. You're blocked out from the real world. You're transported in a totally completely different world than the world you're currently in, right?
Yeah.
And then with AR, it adds a digital element to your reality. So whether it's a Pokemon, whether it's information, whatever it is, it adds a digital element, right? And when you get into spatial computing, that's where it gets exciting, because those digital elements that are placed in your reality are spatially aware. So they know, they can walk with you, they can go downstairs, they can,
that's pretty cool.
They mesh reality, which is really cool. And if you think about it, even geekier is in order for robots to see the world, we need to have that spatial computing, that spatially aware, the technology that allows them to be spatially aware.
Self-driving cars too, right?
Yeah. It's all part of this, like all these emerging techs coming together, right? So I don't know. It's just, we live in such an exciting time.
I have a question though. I want to go a little bit deeper into this augmented reality advertising, because I think augmented reality is, well, it's already here in the form of the camera. Like even Zuckerberg came out, I think it was a year or two ago, and he said the first form of augmented reality really is your cell phone camera. Mm-hmm. And then with the iPhone 10, that was the first phone that really released a fully augmented reality camera, I believe. Now with that, because I know that when I watched you speak at Social Media Marketing World, and you talked a little bit about, you showed like examples of how they had like luxury car makers were letting you customize cars in a three-dimensional space. And you also mentioned that there was a technology, I think you said that Target was already like starting to trademark a name for it, where we're starting to get like the ability to try on clothes that will map to your body type. Yes. And what was the name of that, or what are they trademarking over there?
So the word is volumetric. They're not trademarking volumetric, but the concept is volumetric. So volumetric scanning is pretty much when instead of having like a flat photo of you, it's like a photo that is all encompassing, like a whole full 3D 360 model of who you are, right? Mm-hmm. So through volumetric changing rooms, someone at Target can go in and try clothes without actually having to change clothes, because they look at themselves in the mirror, and the mirror maps the body and knows how to put on, knows that how a dress would look on them and models it. Or you could look at a model in front of you that's a model of yourself, volumetric model, and you can kind of see what the pants would look like.
Okay. And then in real time, can I share those on Facebook and then have people vote on which one I should buy?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you could.
There we go.
Man, you should do that now. You should just change clothes.
I'll just take pictures.
Take pictures of you changing while you're doing the show, and have people vote on it. And I think we'll get more listeners.
You should do who wore it best.
Who wore it best?
Pictures of yours who wore it best. This is my 3D avatar. And see what.
So, how do you think this is going to change society? Because it used to be that you walk into a party and the kids would all be playing, and now you walk into a party. The other day. I walked into a party and I had my 4-year-old son, and they basically said, as soon as I walked in, the hostess said, "The drinks are on the left, and on the right you could deposit your son." And there was just a whole bunch of kids just sitting there on their phones. And I thought, wow, I don't know how I feel about that. On the one hand, that kind of sucks. On the other hand, I can go have a drink with some adults, right? So how do you see the future being with us? What's your prediction? The interaction, the way it's going to rewire our brains.
I see it as heads up, instead of heads down looking at the screens, we're going to be heads up. Those glasses are going to overlay that information in front of your eyes. So yeah, I'm going to be seeing all this information pop up, but I can still look you in the eye. Right. Mm-hmm. And
will I look like George Clooney or
you could. Eventually you might be able to select what you look like. For sure.
That'd be great. Yeah. Well,
for sure. Because this is what I think the basis of this is. We've already digitized our lives in some way, right? These young children live in this digital world. They have a physical world they live in, but they have a digital persona that all of us have, right? So we've digitized our lives. And it's that merging of that physical and digital that's really going to kind of come together. There's, for example, what's Tinder? The people that own Tinder bought an AR startup. And the reason they bought it, people are like, why would they buy an augmented reality startup? It's because through augmented reality, you're going to be able to measure biometrics. You're going to be able to wear your glasses, be on a date, and your glasses are going to be able to tell you oh, is this person making enough eye contact? No,
that's not what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen? People are going to be sitting on their date, looking at their date, still swiping while they're looing at the date, going, maybe I can upswipe. That's what's going to happen. How is because the way that the trends in marketing have gone from when we were kids, you watch Disney Channel or you watch Saturday morning cartoons, and you're advertised. There's disruption throughout your show. And now my 4-year-old, he doesn't watch commercials. He never watches commercials because he watches Netflix, and he skips through commercials on YouTube. And the most amount of commercials he is exposed to is when he's playing an app, and the ads pop up in the app. What is the future of advertising? Because a lot of advertising now is story driven and influencer marketing. Can you give us an idea of what that's going to look like, especially with AI influencer marketing and how that's going to operate?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're hitting on what I love to talk about, which is virtual humans.
Yeah, geeks.
Right? Virtual humans.
Geeking out. Virtual humans. I think it's really interesting. I always start with little Michaela. So for those of you guys that are listening, if you don't know who little Michaela is, she is an influencer on Instagram. She has about 1.3 million followers, books campaigns with Montclair, Louis Vuitton, Diesel, you name it, and she's not real. Right?
That's awesome.
She's a CGI model, right? And that's pretty amazing. This agency created her.
Is there I was hoping for an overweight 58-year-old male that created her, but it was an agency. Okay.
Yeah, it was an agency that created her, and she's fantastic. She's got this personality. She's her friends are other CGI influencers. She was in this fight with this other CGI influencer. People get really into it. I feel like Gen Z is really open to that concept, right? So very popular. Shootogram is another model. She's booked campaigns with Balmain for Fashion Week. It was a whole campaign called Virtual Army. So there's all these, different influencers. And my latest one. So whenever I speak about virtual influencers and digital humans, I've always said brands like Wendy's should definitely snarky. I mean, Wendy's has a certain personality on social media, right? She's fantastic. She or the team, right?
She's known as a smart ass, I guess you would call it.
Completely. But super funny. People love following Wendy's because they know that, it's going to be fun. Someone's going to get nuggets or whatever. But
yeah.
So I've always said, this is the type of brand that should definitely do something like this. And then lo and behold, KFC comes to market with Colonel Sanders as a virtual influencer. It is hilarious. If you go to Instagram and you go to KFC, you won't find like KFC restaurant. It's KFC. It's Colonel Sanders. That's like, and it's him as a virtual influencer, and it is hilarious. It is fantastic. Such a great marketing.
So this brings up a really good point, because I was doing business. I was hired on as a consultant for a company once, and they were
It never happened again after that one time.
That's right. But their brand was a fashion brand, and they were really showing off like the brand in all of these glamour shots. And what I kept advising them to do was like, listen, people don't care about glamour. They look like advertisements. What people care about is something real or something funny. Like, can we show like real people making the product or doing something? The company I'm consulting with right now, I've started a whole employee branding initiative where we're making like 1 minute documentaries about some of the employees there, because it's more story driven. It's a story of the company rather than just showing off the brand. So how is interactive storytelling and marketing going to look like when you're wearing augmented reality goggles? Give me like a scenario where I wake up in the morning, I have my goggles on. What does that look like to you?
Okay. I don't know. Did you watch Bandersnatch on Netflix?
Oh yeah.
By any chance? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a
I
big
watched
fan
it I watched like every possible outcome on Bandersnatch.
Whoa, that's a lot of hours.
I don't want to watch it because I don't want to like have to go, oh, I already watched it, so I want to like savor it. Is that funny? So I'm not watching it.
You can't say you already watched it because there's so many ways to watch it. It's like,
yeah, I got to do it. I got to do it.
Yeah. So it's for people that didn't watch it. It's Netflix created this show called Bandersnatch. It's like a movie, and it's like, I hate to use the term, but like choose your own story, right? Choose your own adventure.
You can say choose your own story.
Yeah.
You can't say that. That's trademarked.
Oh, I said it. Choose your own story.
Well, they got sued. Netflix got sued over that.
They got sued for that.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. They did.
Yeah.
So you could select like, different, paths within the story. Like, does he jump off the building or does he decide to walk down the street? Like, there's all these different ways, and the story changes depending on what you select, right? So, there's just so many different ways to watch the movie. And it's that concept, it's called branching narrative, right? Where and this is the beginning of that concept of, with AR, what I'm going to is that agency that you're going to have when it comes to storytelling, okay? So what eventually is going to happen is that when you're engaging with one of these experiences or a game or story, you're going to be able to make decisions that impact what happens, right? Mm-hmm. It's what I call a shift from, and it's very, very clear when you do VR, but it's going to come to AR. It's the shift from storytelling, where you're that passive receiver of information, to what I call story living, where you're an actual, you have agency and you're actually a participant in the story.
So like if I'm like, how would that work? Like just on a daily basis. So I'm getting ready for work, and there's some interaction going in my living room before I get ready for work. What kind of thing would be happening?
Well, I think it's more when you're playing a game or watching some type of entertainment. That's when it's going to kick in. It's not so much like weather or, things that you might do before you leave the house. It's going to be more when you're doing entertainment, when you're kind of playing a game. Like, I'll give you an example. So with the HoloLens, the old HoloLens, there was a game called Fragments, and you would put the headset on and you had to solve this murder mystery in your living room. So there would be like rats, and there would be all this stuff, like this detective sitting on a couch in front of you, all this stuff. And it's happening, in your living room. And, depending on what you decided to do, the story changed and you solved the crime, etc. So it's that concept, but taken to a totally different level. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Do you have any concrete examples of something that like a game or how would that flow?
You mean as currently?
No, like
Bandersnatch.
Yeah, no. I'm talking more like in the future. Is it basically going to be similar to what's happening now? It's just more immersive in your living room.
More immersive in your living room. Things are going to follow you. I'm going to take it a little bit back to like virtual humans.
Yeah.
So we're already talking. Yeah, we're already talking to Alexa and Siri, right?
Oh yeah.
So and people are listening.
Don't say it too loud because she might hear you.
Yeah, Alexa. But what are Alexa and Siri going to look like in the future, right? Are they always going to be a little speaker that you put on your kitchen, counter? No, eventually there's going to be a visual element to them. And these digital assistants or digital friends or companions, whatever they evolve to be, are going to follow you around and going to be with you everywhere. So they're still going to be part of that story and how you go about. So it's that melding of the physical and the digital coming together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of digital humans and I know we're going back to the KFC thing here, but I pulled up that website of the digital Colonel Sanders and it's really funny. So he's like super muscular and like they have like the ultimate like handsome Colonel Sanders and he's got tattoos on his like 6-pack abs that say like hashtag secret recipe. Yeah. Oh my God, this is awesome. And he's got like a supermodel like grabbing him. So this is funny stuff. I had not seen any of this Colonel Sanders stuff.
Oh, it's so good. And like one of the articles said he's handsome, he's cool, he's living his best artificial life, right? Oh, that's so funny. In the way I describe it, if anyone goes to see it, it's like he's a combination of hustle culture. Like he's like a Gary V mixed
Gary V. I think of Gary V as hustle culture. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like Gary V mixed in with Jay Shetty with like
this hipster vibe. Yeah.
It's hilarious. He's like totally woke, but then he's also culture, but then he's like a model, but then it's like, it's hilarious.
He's a model, but he's so much more than that.
So that kind of gets me into this other aspect of the other end of it. So the user experience is going to be one thing where it's going to be more interactive through story. But what about as a marketer? If I want to do some marketing in the future for certain brands using AR and VR, right now it's about like Google Analytics or Facebook marketing or LinkedIn marketing or Instagram marketing or influencers. What would you say as a marketer I would have to be sort of on the lookout for, and how would I go about doing my job, or am I just going to be outsourced to AI as well?
Yeah. Well, I would say start thinking about the camera on your phone as It's what Snapchat called camera marketing. They're a camera company. They're a camera first company. If you go to Snapchat, you open the app, it automatically opens up to the camera. So it's not only because they want you to take a cute selfie, it's because the camera is going to start collecting information on everything that's around you, what you record, and everything. So it's about these cameras that are going to start they're already looking at all our world and all the data that's being collected. So start thinking about, from a marketing perspective, how your brand or your company can leverage these technologies. So clear example, if you have a product, if you're a product company, you have an actual product, right? Like a t-shirt, like glasses, etc. It's moving away from just showing something to someone, on Instagram, to them actually trying it on virtually. Okay, that's extremely powerful. That's what we call in the industry V-commerce. Some people call that voice commerce. But
now isn't IKEA doing that now already too?
Yeah, completely.
Actually,
so they have it so you could put like an IKEA furniture piece in your house and like see a virtual representation of it size wise to see if it fits, kind of thing.
Exactly. So it's that concept of actually being able to see something in your reality, see how it fits, see if it, and the reason they did it, to be honest, the reason IKEA and Wayfair do it is because it's going to hopefully eliminate or reduce the amount of returns, right? Because I'm able to plan ahead and see how big is this couch, because it's pretty exact to measurement. So you're able to see how the couch, how big is it, how would it look, what are the colors, etc. So you're able to kind of design that. And
I actually used this technology not too long ago, where I was looking to paint my room a new color, and I found an app from a paint store, and I just kind of tried on, I took a picture of the room and then I was able to throw different colors onto the wall. I mean, it was still kind of clunky because there was a lot of bleed through, but overall it still gave me a pretty good impression. And then I could take a picture of it with a new color. So it gave me an impression of what this would look like before having to like paint a wall and go, oh, I don't like that, or that's too red, that's too, pink or whatever. So yeah, it's already here. So it sounds like to me, if I'm hearing you correctly, what it seems like you're saying is that the future marketer has to really not just like, are we going to get this product in front of someone's eyeballs to make them follow a call to action, and then we follow the customer journey and refine it. It's more a matter of how can we give this person a overarching experience. So you've got to take into consideration everything from their state of mind to what is going to possibly be in the immediate environment of the average person's home for certain demographics.
It's crazy. It is pretty crazy when you think about it.
That's crazy.
It starts with simple things. Like I said, it starts with Facebook trying on a pair of glasses on your phone and then purchasing directly there. But many people in the industry call augmented reality the full funnel, because you're able to kind of do everything in augmented reality. And eventually you're going to be able to check out just with your gaze. So imagine that. Like, that is incredibly powerful. It reduces friction, right? It makes things a lot faster. And I'm trying to find the statistics because there's some amazing statistics on how augmented reality is already impacting the funnel. And, any marketer would want to see these. But so I'm trying to find them right now, but can't quite find them. So.
Before we started today, you had mentioned that you were kind of geeking out over what you had been reading about happening in China. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Yeah.
So I was in China at the end of last year, and I'm starting to spend a lot more time in Asia. And I'm really interested and impressed, let's say, with some of the way that technology is just part of the daily lives over there. So, I went to China. One of the really cool things I got to do was to check into my hotel with my face. And that was pretty cool. I got to the hotel. Really? Yeah, I checked in with my face.
Yeah. I've been trying to do that for years. It just never, look at his face. Check me in. His face.
Do you know who I am? You're like, do you know who I am? So yeah, we got into the hotel. We were able to check in with our faces. Obviously, the Chinese government had our faces from our passports. So, that's kind of how they knew. It was interesting to see that, like the facial recognition side of things. I went to Hangzhou. Hangzhou is one of the AI capitals in China. And they have the KFC, once again, KFC, the KFC concept store, a future concept store in Hangzhou. And that's where you can pay with your face. You've got a robot that makes food, makes ice cream. It's like all these future concepts all put together. And that was pretty interesting. Watching someone actually pay, it's called smile to pay, right?
Yeah.
So actually seeing people smile to pay, which is connected to their WeChat or their Alipay, was really interesting.
What if they're really smiley? What if there's really smiley people? Then do they have to pay 3 times?
There you go. They're very happy.
It's gonna make mugging people a whole new thing, because you're gonna walk in front of somebody and say, guy walks into a bar, has a duck under his arm, and then the guy smiles, you just steal his money and then run. Make the world a better place. I like it.
You know what it made me think of? Do you remember a movie called Face Off?
Oh, yeah. It's great.
I want to take his face off.
God.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna people are gonna have plastic surgeries to look like
Nicolas Cage,
so they can. It's crazy.
Yeah, I want plastic surgery to look like Nicolas Cage from the mid-90s.
Yeah, how much would I have to pay you? If that really think about it. If I could give you some money, and you would have to look like Nicolas Cage for the rest of your life, how much would I have to pay you? Either one of you.
$20.
I don't know. Well, you know what? That was not a bad time for Nicolas Cage. Yeah. That movie was not a bad time. And that was not a bad time for John Travolta. I wouldn't want to be either of them.
Yeah.
But,
burn.
Not the bees!
Burn,
not the bees!
Not the bees.
So the thing with China, now this you bring up something really interesting with China, because it is simultaneously fascinating and future tech. It is also very dystopian, because they.
I was going to say a little terrifying that you're also checking in the hotels with your face, just knowing how the government operates.
And I'm just going on record saying that Cathy is not saying anything negative about the Chinese government because she's gonna be going back there. But this is the point, right? Is that if you did say something negative about the Chinese government, there's a chance that they just won't let you in the country. And then they have this whole ranking system now that's like this social capital. So on one level, the government is trying to control society by using this technology. On another hand, it makes things more efficient, but it also makes things less human on some level. Because the human element is disappearing, and this is the thing that kind of freaks me out. Where in the same way, children and even myself, like I find myself like always wanting to check my phone. And my girlfriend just recently, she had to have an intervention with me. It was just like, I think you're checking your phone a little too much. And I was like, I'm sorry, what were you saying? I was checking the news. I didn't hear the thing you just said. But so the point is that we really may run into a situation where everybody just has these goggles on and they are fed information that they choose to see in the same way that people prune their Facebook profiles. So the people that they interact with on Facebook is simply an echo chamber of their own feelings and thoughts. What would happen when everybody's wearing goggles and everybody is looking at the world exactly how they want to look at it, and reality kind of drips into, like, fades away? I mean, there's that possibility too, right?
Yeah, and that's a very valid concern. But, I think that those of us that are in the industry are working to put in best practices, to put in safeguards, so that there is, data governance, so that there's certain things that don't go the wrong way.
So do you think that,
and it could still happen, but
I was going to say that, do you think that I truly believe that there's got to be like kind of a digital constitution of human rights, if you will, where, the whole concept, the whole concept of influencers is interesting to me, because when you have a young person sitting in front of a McDonald's with, just doing a selfie of them and their friends, but they're inadvertently advertising for McDonald's, and McDonald's can use that content for their own advertising, or influencers just simply post stuff so they can get likes, but they're also generating huge amounts of income for some of these companies who are not paying these influencers.
Fire Festival.
Yeah. So
Fire Festival.
So the question then is when all of this data is coming in from various sources, when people are just looking around their surroundings, and so huge companies now can see every single minute detail of someone's living space and see their behavior patterns and even what they focus on during the day. That data should belong to me. It should not be sold to third-party retailers. And if Facebook owns this type of technology, they're not going to give a crap if I say I don't want you to do that.
But Andros, think about how much money you can make off them knowing all that.
I know.
Stuff.
I should write a tell-all book.
I love that you're bringing this up, because I think it's a two-part conversation. One part is the concept of, and my friend Charlie Fink calls it, the world's going to be painted in data, right? Data, you produce data in everything you do, every object you interact with, right? The world's going to be covered in data. It's this magic verse, this mirror world. Yeah. So Wired had on the cover a story about the mirror world, which is exactly this digital layer that is.
I read that article. It's really good. And just so you, right? Just for those of you who haven't, who aren't familiar with this, it's in the latest issue of Wired, and it's about how there will essentially be an exact duplicate of our world in the virtual plane that we can interact with.
Well, and to be clear, since we all already know this, but we are already in a simulation, so we're actually just building the second layer of the simulation right now.
That's right. It's
nice, Elon.
It is so true.
Ask Elon Musk; he will tell you it's more probable than not.
That's what I'm saying. Elon's like, we live in a simulation. I'm like, I don't know if we do, but
anyway. You've been programmed to think that.
There's this. There you go. Maybe we're all AI.
I saw the 13th floor. I saw it. I'm one of the few people that saw that movie.
So I'm sorry, Cathy. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I really want you to finish your concept.
Yeah, but it's that idea of this digital twin, this digital layer over a real world. Who does that data belong to? I don't know. It's a really hard thing to think about. I do know that and I agree with the article. It did say that a lot of new fortunes and a lot of new companies and a lot of money is going to be made, right, on this digital, let's say, twin of this world that will, will help with self-driving cars, will help with robots, will help with a lot of different things, right? So it's like, who owns that data? And if you want to even take it further, and I'm going to go way out there, right?
Oh,
I was having a
please.
conversation. Yeah, I'm going to go way out there. I was having a conversation with a friend about genetic testing and DNA. And it's like, who owns your DNA?
Ancestry.
Right? You're giving your DNA to all these companies, right? If that company, and this is from a talk from Amy Webb, and we were watching it, and she was talking about how if one of those companies goes broke and they have all these samples, who owns the samples? Do you own the sample? Does the company own the sample? What happens with that?
Well,
what happens with your DNA?
We had a good lesson to take away from is what happened to MySpace. People were uploading massive amounts of data to MySpace, pre-Facebook. I mean, for the time, not as much as they are now, but at the time, it was huge amounts of data. And when MySpace finally got sold, all of that data went to AOL Time Warner, and or no, it was wasn't it Fox Broadcasting? Anyway, yeah, one of them bought it, and then
it was Robert Murdoch. Robert Murdoch.
It was Rupert Murdoch.
Rupert.
Yeah, Rupert Murdoch. And then once he sold it basically for parts, and it was bought by a data company that basically data mined the entire thing, and that's all they did with it. It was just like took the data. So all the data that people had been uploading was now just eventually given to a data company. So there's, the technology is evolving faster than we can come up with rules around it. And I really feel that this is kind of an issue because I'm thinking about, like, for instance, my son, who, at 4 has literally thousands and thousands of photographs between me and his mother. And she posts on Facebook all the time, pictures of him, but he doesn't understand the repercussions of that. I don't tend to post stuff on there, but, every once in a while, Google will feed me a small movie about his, they're just like, oh, they grow up fast. And Facebook does the same thing. So what trips me out is that, in 20 years, he can have a personal documentary made with this data, voiced by an AI version of David Attenborough. And, it would look like a Ken
Christopher Walken.
No.
Oh, Christopher Walken.
Oh, I don't know if I can stand.
This is the kid.
There he is. Oh.
There, you can change your voice. Anyway, but that's a great question. Like, who owns this data? And we're getting into this crazy time where basically our DNA, our data, our thought processes, our patterns, they're all going to be kind of up for grabs to the highest bidder. And if a large company can buy government, they can buy any information about you, and we just give it away.
If Google ever buys Ancestry.com, we know why now. Yeah, that is why.
There you go. Well, it brings up a whole bunch of questions, like who owns this data? Like, who owns your DNA? Do you own your DNA really? And the reason this is what got me started to think about this. So I have a hologram, right? I have a personal hologram of myself that I got done. It sounds like plastic surgery.
How much does that cost? I want to get a hologram.
Sorry, that sounds like plastic surgery. I got it done. I got a hologram done.
Can I get a hologram for how much does it cost? Can I get one for like $30?
No, not for $30, my friend.
You could use your Nicolas Cage money to get a hologram of yourself.
Isn't he broke? I don't think he's got a lot of money.
Oh, he's definitely broke. He makes a new movie every month.
There you go. Go for John Travolta then if you want some, some money.
But at least he's got the Church of Scientology behind him.
Oh God, let's not even go there. Anyway, but anyway, I got my hologram done, right? And one of the biggest shockers to me was after that and everything is that I didn't own the rights to my hologram.
Oh no.
So that is weird. If you think about that, that is a 360 representation of who I am with me speaking, and I don't own it. And I was just kind of like,
so you could be like pitching companies and not even know, and you have no idea. That
I know the company that did it is not necessarily going to use it for that, but what happens in the future? Like, that's a representation of me. Like, and I don't own that. it just got me thinking a lot about that. Like, who owns what? And if you think about it, like, it's pretty shocking, right?
It is pretty shocking.
What if the Church of Scientology bought the rights to your hologram?
No. Oh my God, no. I don't want to insult anyone out there, but no. Let's go somewhere else. Let's not go there.
So this is, this gets into this other, we're creeping up to the end of the show, but I wonder, like, you're right. It is an interesting time because on the one hand, we are moving into this era of technology that is, it's going to make the Industrial Revolution look like a kindergarten party, right? Mm-hmm. But the other thing is that if all of this data is available to, say, any hacker, and they can just in the future, and they can have my DNA, they can have my likeness, they can have my voice, they can have everything. They could create a deep fake of me doing anything, saying anything, behaving the way I would behave. And then in that instance, reality also becomes, we're already in this thing where there's a huge campaign to make news not trustworthy. So, people saying, you can't believe what you read on the news. And I'm just like, you know what, if you have sources that you trust, you can believe it, but maybe not. Who knows? And so reality is even come into question. So this goes to the kind of my bigger question that I was wondering is like, what is going to happen? How is that going to rewire our brains as a global species when trusting reality, we can't trust what we watch, we can't trust what we hear or see. How is that going to affect us as a culture? What will be the outcome of that type of thing?
The singularity, my friend. It's the singularity.
Yeah. Explain that for those, like, this is totally on my alley, but can you explain that for those of us who don't know?
It's ultimately, it means the when man and machine merge. Ultimately,
can it be woman and machine?
I want to be the first. I want to be the first.
Do you want to be the first? Yeah, it's that concept, let's say, of like when man.
Dude, give me 5 beers. I will totally do that.
Oh,
sorry, I didn't mean to go.
Six for me. 6
beers, and I will make you. I will merge you. Sorry. So what did you tell? Can you repeat what you just said?
No, it's the easiest way to explain it is really the moment where man and machine merge into one. So, fully.
And
real quick, just speaking real quick, Andros, what you mentioned, the deep fakes thing real quick. There's a documentary on Netflix. It's from BuzzFeed. It's called Follow This. They do a whole episode on the ability of AI and companies now or to be able to fake. Like all you have to do is have footage of anybody on the planet, enough footage, and then you can speak into a microphone. They can change your voice to sound like a person. They can change the lip movement of the other person. They do example of like voicing President Obama and Trump and mimicking them and putting in their own words. And it's incredible. I mean, it's still not 100% there, but give it 10 years and it will be indistinguishable. Yeah. You'll be able to fake anything, which is.
And then the globalists are going to get a hold of that technology, and it's going to turn the frogs gay.
They probably, according to that man, the globalists already have this technology.
Oh, no. Well, there wasn't like what's his face? I can't remember, but he was talking about robocalls and how you're going to start getting like these scams from the IRS with like or scams from people like with voices that instead of the Nigerian prince, I missed that. Asking you for money, like it'll be
Andros. It'll be Andros.
Yeah, it'll be Aunt May.
Andros will be like, I have all this money, please.
I actually know the Nigerian prince. He and I took him to the Burning Man for the first time. We hung out. I gave him some acid. It was crazy. It was like, what a night. You know what? At the end of it, he gave me $1 billion. It was nuts. It was totally nuts.
After you sent them something on Western Union, right? Yeah, sure.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. And then I woke up in the morning and I looked like Nicolas Cage. I don't know what happened. So.
Oh Oh no.
So one of the things that I really I found fascinating was when I was looking into Micah. And Micah again is the personal assistant. What I often tell people that my son, who is 4, is probably never going to need a driver's license ever, and he is probably going to be one of the possibilities that he could be a digisexual, and which is a new term I learned. It's somebody who prefers AI robots or robots over human beings.
All the listeners on our show have learned this term.
Yeah. So how will that affect relationships in your mind? If because I really believe that the DSM-6 will have a psychological condition where men, and I believe it'll be mostly men, will have a trouble relating to real women because they're so used to relating to AI that's feeding them information that will most excite them. Yeah. So tell me kind of the pros and cons. What's the monkey's paw in all of this? And do you feel responsible for being part of this evolution and revolution?
Oh, dude. Yeah. No, do you feel responsible for the end of the world?
I like that tag question.
I don't feel responsible. I'm doing my part. Okay. I'm currently doing my part to make things better instead of worse. The whole concept of sex robots and AI intimacy, I mean, I don't think things will ever necessarily replace the real thing. I think there's always going to be, space for, real human to human, interaction. But I mean, we already share a lot with our phones and our digital assistants and stuff. They know us pretty well. So I think it'll be a change. I mean,
will it be like in Demolition Man? Do you remember Demolition Man when they had the relations?
Yeah, there you go. I don't think it's necessarily going to replace, but if you think about it from a singularity perspective, in your merging human and machine, then that doesn't seem so weird, right? I don't know. Am I responsible for this? No, I wouldn't say I'm 100% responsible.
So what percentage would you say?
You bring up a great question.
When the AI robots analyze this audio, how do you stand? Because I stand with the AI. Just if you're listening, AI, I love you.
Yeah.
You stand with the AI?
Yes.
Don't kill me.
We stand with the AI on this show.
Save my family.
When Skynet becomes self-aware, we stand with Skynet.
How do you know I'm not an AI?
That's true. We don't. But we stand with you then. If you are an AI, we stand with you. We stand with Skynet. We stand with Skynet.
Skynet. Oh, God.
Now this is, we're wrapping up the show here, but this is what I truly believe that we are on the cusp of a spiritual awakening as a species. We are about to leave the planet, and we are not going to be able to leave the planet if we keep interacting with one another the way that we've been doing. It's becoming completely toxic. I think that we're on the verge of coming to a point where we have to look at ourselves as a global species and not as these kind of fish that are swimming around in these nation states. So I on one level, I feel that this technology is going to help us, because you mentioned at the top of the show that you were in your confined space VR experience. And as the Buddhists say, if one person is starving, we are all starving. Once we get to the point where we can really see someone else's experience, I think it's going to give us a paradigm shift as a species. Tell me what you predict once we have this kind of spiritual awakening as a global species. What does the planet look like to you?
Oh, that's a big one. In my work as futurist, one of the things that's really been interesting over the last year has been that some of the companies I've been working with don't only want to think about technology when we're doing foresight, when we're doing forecasting and planning. A lot of them have started to be like, how does climate change factor into this? And that's been really interesting, because you talk about poisoning, like toxic relationships, where, we're poisoning our relationships. We're also poisoning our environment. So where does that leave us as a human species? And, I'm just hopeful that we can use and leverage these technologies for better, to make us more effective, to make us, better at cleaning up our world. Farming is a big thing that's going to change. I don't know. There's just so many ways to go about this. And I'm just going, my mind just goes a million places, not only AR and VR, but I'm thinking about, vertical farming and indoor farming and everything that, we can potentially do with the aid of AI and automation to not poison our world and hopefully, eventually not poison our relationships. So I don't know. I don't think I answered your question, but there's so many different things at so many different levels that both us as individuals and companies have to start thinking about when planning strategy for, the next 24 months, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. It's a little daunting, So even for someone like me that lives this right every day, it's daunting.
Yeah, it's actually one of the reasons I moved here. In fact, I just found out that the Netherlands is one of the number one producers and exporters of indoor farmed tomatoes and lettuce, and they're really on the forefront of this technology because with a little bit of sea level rise, the entire country could be underwater. Yeah. So it's I'm building an ark in the backyard, as a matter of fact.
There you go.
So one last question, because we got to wrap up, but what would you say to a future generation, like 100 years from now, if you could give them a glimpse of like where we are and what you would want to tell the world in the year 2119?
Well, my hope is that by then it won't be a division between man and woman, Black, white, Latino, whatever. I hope that identity is more fluid and that, we can just be whoever it is that we need to be and that, that can evolve and change. I don't know if I have words for the kids, in the 100 years from now, but what I will tell you is that everything I do in technology currently, as a woman in technology, as a Latina in technology, I do it to blaze the trail for everyone that comes after me. And if I'm doing my part, if I'm mentoring, if I'm helping, if I'm teaching, if I'm inspiring and letting other people know they can accomplish what I'm accomplishing, then I'm doing my part for the future generations. So there you go. That's it. Yeah,
that's awesome. And this was amazing. I could talk to you for another 4 hours, but we've all got things to do. But
I know we went out there.
I want to go out there again.
I love this type of stuff.
Will you be on our show again?
Yes. Why don't we let's talk in about 6 months.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I love it. Well, and put this out through your network and share it with 500 of your closest friends. We love you. But
that's right.
And with that,
Andros,
yes,
I have a solution that we can bring everybody together where we map Nicolas Cage from the mid-90s face onto every human, and you walk around with augmented reality goggles and you just see Nicolas Cage's face. And I think everybody will come together, the world will unite, and all our problems will be solved.
Nicolas Cage, the great equalizer. I love that idea. Because
if you're listening to Nicolas Cage, we'd love to have you on the show.
You and your bees.
You have nothing better to do, Nicolas Cage. Come on, Marketing Geeks.
It's true. It's not like they're going to make Face Off 2. So, by all means, Nicolas Cage. Do you know Nicolas Cage, Cathy, at all?
No, I don't.
Do you know any other quasi-celebrities from the mid?
I can tweet at him if you want.
Please.
Oh, please tweet at Nicolas Cage and tell him to listen to this show. You have more influence than we have, so we're going to borrow your influence to get Nicolas Cage to see this or to hear this episode.
Man, we didn't even get into how you became a top voice on LinkedIn. That'll be the next show. There's so much I wanted to ask you, but man, this was a great mind walk. Cathy Hackl, where can we find you?
You can find me at cathyhackl.com or LinkedIn. That's really where I share a lot of really cool footage and videos and talks about everything I'm seeing out there in the world of tech.
Well, you